Cambodia. A country that exists almost entirely within the Mekong basin. Like the veins of a leaf, its tributaries funnel water in from all directions, connecting every inch of land to the life-giving river. Here, the last remaining open forested plains of Southeast Asia shelter a bird so rare it was once thought extinct. And in a dense mosaic of jungle, little-known primates impress as they jump across the canopy. Seasonal habitats are formed from the river's waters, and the banks of the river itself provide an important refuge. As the Mekong story continues to unfold, it enters a region where it leaves no landscape untouched. The Mekong enters Cambodia from the north, where the coursing waters flow across a series of stunning waterfalls located on the Cambodian-Laos border. As the river cascades down, it twists and turns over huge boulders, continuing its journey to the South China Sea. These falls are the widest in the world and have a drop of only a few meters, but their volume and power are massive. Here, the Mekong broadens out by up to 10 kilometers in the wet season, but its reach stretches far beyond. 86% of Cambodia lies within the Mekong's basin, which means that every habitat is influenced by the mighty river as it flows through the country towards Vietnam. It's dawn in Ratanakiri. This is the northeasternmost tip of Cambodia and a crowning jewel of the Mekong watershed. The area boasts one of the largest expanses of intact forest in Southeast Asia, spanning over 500 square kilometers. Even though it's the dry season, the forest is in full leaf. Evergreen trees in their millions tower to dizzy heights of over 40 meters. A distinctive chorus echoes across the lush canopy. It belongs to one of Cambodia's most recognizable primates. The northern yellow-cheeked gibbon. It's believed that gibbons share the same vocal structure as humans, indicating that we have simply learned to use our voices in a more complex way. Individuals can be recognized by their distinct melodies, which they use to mark the boundaries of their territory. But there's one boundary they'll never cross: the Mekong River. The Mekong acts as a geographical barrier. Animals on either side have evolved to be different enough from each other to be now classified as their own species. The northern yellow-cheeked gibbon has only recently been given that status. It's easy to see why these apes got their names. This young male has a lot on his mind. He recently lost his father to poaching. Gibbons live in small family groups, mother, father, and their children. As the eldest son, at around 6 years old, he is now the alpha male of his family unit and still finding his feet. He joins his widowed mother, who's much lighter in color. The sudden death of her partner is a big loss. Bonded gibbon pairs remain together for many years, and this female will have invested all of her energy and attention on her mate and their offspring. The once family of 5 is now a family of 4. The eldest son has 2 younger siblings, one black aged 2 and a brown baby aged just 3.5 months. 500 gibbon families call Ratanakiri home. With such a dense population of animals in one region, competition for food is fierce. They must defend their borders from neighbouring families. The eldest son has big shoes to fill. He can't fully replace his father, but he'll need to help his mother take care of the youngsters until he starts a family of his own. Ratanakiri is home to the largest population of northern yellow-cheeked gibbons in the world. It sits at the westernmost tip of their range. Tributaries here flow into the Mekong River as it travels 480 kilometers south through Cambodia before crossing into Vietnam. While the rest of the family sleeps, the eldest son circles them, checking for any signs of danger. He moves through the canopy using the gibbon's preferred mode of transport. Brachiation, or swinging. Gibbons are the ultimate swingers of the jungle. His long arms give him an impressive reach as he swings like a pendulum from branch to branch. He has a ball and socket joint not only in his shoulder but also in his wrist. This adaptation allows these joints to rotate to full 360 degrees, meaning he can move in many different directions. His hook-like hands have very long, strong finger flexor muscles, enabling him to hang for hours from the branches. Confident there's no imminent danger, he heads back to his family and they begin to eat breakfast in a most unusual way. Gibbons feed whilst hanging. A primate that sits on a branch to eat must reach and pull food towards itself. One that's hanging is already using its weight to pull the branch down, which makes reaching for the food easier. This morning's meal is a soft, pulpy fruit, always their first choice if available. Fruit provides energy-rich nutrition for the apes, and by eating it, they in turn help to regenerate the forest. By eating the fruit in one location, and then travelling to another before the undigested seeds pass through their gut, the gibbons help to disperse the plants. But their diet isn't restricted to fruit. They can switch to flowers and leaves and even change which specific parts of the plant they eat, depending on what's available. Selective feeding like this means they can fulfill all their nutritional needs within their territory, no matter what the season. This baby is bored of hanging with mum while she feeds. His sibling offers a welcome diversion. It's not just about having fun. Play is the gateway to exploration, creativity, and learning. A playing brain is a growing brain. But not everybody's impressed with the commotion. Their big brother is too preoccupied with his new responsibilities to join in the fun. He ensures the youngsters never stray too far away. Poachers patrol these parts. So the shroud of the canopy is essential to the family's survival. For now, the young male and his family will keep hidden in the protective green foliage of this forest refuge. From the great heights of the canopy to the depths of the forest floor, the blistering hot rays of sun get intercepted as they beam into the understory, resulting in a temperature that's a welcome few degrees cooler. Thick tree trunks, long winding branches, and deep beds of leaves intertwine, creating a habitat that's hidden from view. And hiding from view is an important skill if you want to survive down here. Camouflage. Creatures play the ultimate game of hide and seek, blending in perfectly to their surroundings until they decide to be seen. There's one organism that has taken the art of camouflage to the extreme. The stick insect. Stick insects are truly the masters of disguise. They can be found all over the world, but are most numerous and diverse here in the tropics of Southeast Asia. These creatures modify their shape, colour and patterning depending on their habitat, and in some cases even imitate scents and sounds. A gland located in the tibia of their legs detects sound and ground vibrations, helping them to sense approaching predators. Although camouflage is an excellent defense against being eaten, it works both ways. The praying mantis, one of the insect world's most formidable predators. The mantis lies in wait. It can spend hours like this, waiting for the right time to pounce. Its large compound eyes work together like binoculars, helping it to zero in on its prey. The stick insect senses the danger. Although it looks like it's shaking in fear, it's intentionally quivering, trying to mimic the swaying movement of the surrounding foliage to blend into the background. But there's no fooling the mantis. It launches with lightning speed. The super quick grasping movement of its legs make it a hunter that's difficult to evade. A flexible joint between its head and throat gives it amazing flexibility, able to swivel its head almost 300 degrees, keeping watch as it devours its prey. Unfortunately for this green praying mantis, its body stood out against the background of brown twigs. When camouflage is your only defense mechanism, choosing the right habitat is essential if you want to avoid being eaten. Back up in the canopy, the haunting calls of the gibbons reverberate across the forest. These vast jungles are the lungs of Southeast Asia, drawing in the sun's energy, each leaf angled perfectly to capture the maximum amount of light. As the forest exhales, water vapor is released into the atmosphere, creating a stunning mist that envelops the canopy. While the young male has no one to teach him how to take care of his family, his little brother is learning by observing one of the best teachers around, his mother. She moves through the canopy with her youngster, who is just a few months old. The infant is a little male. His light baby fur is already beginning to turn black, and it will stay black into adulthood. Female babies also turn black, but then revert to blonde when they're fully mature. Obvious differences between the sexes, even at a young age, are common in gibbons. Her baby seems almost a part of her as she carries him effortlessly from branch to branch. She's carefully looking for a suitable network of branches to start today's lesson. Once she's happy with a location, the education begins. First, she'll teach her son a skill that will be very important if he wants to avoid food competition from other creatures in the canopy. Feeding at the very tips of the branches. Up here he can practice without venturing too far. He slowly leaves the safety of his mother's arms. The only other animals that could get out onto these tiny branches are small birds and squirrels, so if he picks up this skill, he won't have to compete with other species of primates for his food. His older brother has got it down pat. The young ape has done well. He picks off a seed and heads back down the branch. Then it's off to a new location for the next lesson. She will be checking for number of branches, possible predators, and anything else that could endanger her infant. Next, his branch walking skills are put to the test. The little one cautiously begins to move along the tiny branches. If the youngster was to misjudge which could take his weight, he would plummet 12 meters to the ground. So his mother is never far away. He seems to be gaining confidence quickly. It's time to undertake his biggest test yet, swinging. His mother watches closely. He's a natural. This baby doesn't need much encouragement. It will be another 10 months before he leaves his mother's arms to become fully independent. But even then, this arboreal jungle gym will remain his home, as gibbons rarely come down to the ground. The haze of mist that blankets the canopy condenses into rain that gathers in streams as they flow down the steep-sided mountains. Winding through the forests, they converge into ever larger tributaries. Many of these meet at one of the Mekong River's major hubs, Stung Treng. In the wet season, most of this area is completely submerged with floodwater. But as the water recedes, stranded forests re-emerge, and little islets appear. Their sheltered sandy shores are important nesting grounds for a variety of bird life. Plants here must withstand many months fully submerged, followed by a dry season devoid of rain. This area is an important refuge for fish that migrate from the many tributaries. The influx of fish is a welcome arrival for a bird that has fishing down to a fine art. The critically endangered river tern. a beautiful species distinguishable by a yellow bill and a black cap along with a grey tail feather. Cambodia has the highest number of terns in Southeast Asia, but they still only number 100 here, and their breeding sites are protected. These birds have flown in from the nearby rivers and freshwater lakes to breed and will stay here for 3 months. The Mekong offers an abundant supply of the tern's staple diet, fresh fish, which is why they choose these banks as their summer home. However, the river tern's nesting behaviour means a successful breeding season isn't guaranteed. Each tern female always lays exactly 3 eggs. They don't build their nests, but dig them out, creating depressions in the sand. Although this prevents their eggs from rolling down into the water, it does mean that they're exposed, leaving them at risk to flooding, predators, and even curious neighbours. This family has 2 surviving chicks just 2 weeks old. The youngsters are home alone. Both parents are out finding food as the chicks need to grow quickly. When the monsoon comes, these islets will quickly flood. The chicks will either have to have fledged or they'll drown. Their wings need to grow and fast. The lonely chicks even beg for food from unrelated terns flying above. Fish are abundant in these shallow waters. Swooping down effortlessly, the male tern makes his catch. His mate helps him prepare the meal for the chicks. Tern pairs are not only faithful to each other, but also to their fishing grounds, returning to the exact same spot to breed each year. The male washes his bounty while the female tern supervises. She then takes the fish over to the chicks, but decides it's not clean enough. If you want a job done properly, do it yourself. The hungry chick may have eyes bigger than its stomach, as it swallows the fish whole. While it takes some time out to digest, its sibling is still waiting for its share of something to eat. It leaves the nest in search of food. Unable to fly, it's a walking target. And somebody is watching. A grey-headed fish eagle. A large, stocky raptor for whom unprotected chicks are easy pickings. He could swallow it whole. The female tern eventually returns to the nest and discovers the missing chick. She immediately begins to call out a warning signal, hoping her chick will follow the sound back to the nest. The intrepid chick picks up the alarm call and hurries towards it. This eagle weighs 2 kilograms, many more times the weight of the chick. The youngster's speedy response to its mother's call has saved it, this time. Unlike the terns that must wait a few weeks before being fully mobile, the chicks of this bird are born in a very advanced state. The little ringed plover, a web-toed river bird with a bright yellow ring around its eye. This female has come here to breed on the Mekong's edges. Just a few days old, the chick is a mini-me already, and keen to imitate mum quenching her thirst. It's not long before the youngster has a drink itself. Plover chicks are independent much earlier than the terns, which means they can have more of an impact on their own survival. It will be another month until the chicks nesting in these banks have developed the muscles they need to fly. Then by summer, when the monsoon reaches its peak and the islets begin to submerge, they will have fledged and take flight. They will make their way to the freshwater lakes and rivers where they'll spend their summer. Until then, they must take their chances on the exposed banks of the Mekong. The dry season will continue for another month and temperatures remain high at a scorching 40 degrees Celsius. As water recedes, the area grows increasingly parched, yet small remnants of wetland pocket the landscape. The trepang. These are temporary waterholes that are left over from the wet season. They're found all over Cambodia. The waterholes are hotspots for life in the dry season. From small invertebrates to birds like this red and black greater cuckoo. Livestock flock to these vital sources of water. While the cows graze, their trampling helps to maintain the holes. Hordes of one particular insect are a common sight on trepang banks. This swarm of male swallowtails numbers in the hundreds. Packing themselves together so tightly is a way to deter predators. These puddles are an important source of sodium for the butterflies and attract them from kilometers around. They drink in the moisture through their proboscis. Mussels unfurl this tightly coiled appendage, a process that relies on a hydraulic-like mechanism. The nutrients are absorbed and wastewater ejected. Before the breeding season, it's especially important for males to get sodium, as they pass it on to the females during mating, which increases the viability of their eggs. Trepangs will provide sustenance for a number of butterfly species, which daintily switch from location to location trying to take in as many nutrients as possible. When your adult life lasts only 2 weeks, time is of the essence. These waterholes may be a convenience for the butterflies, but they are essential to one particular animal's existence. Surrounding the trepangs here is a very different looking forest to the lush green hills of the northeast. This is Tamat Bowie, the last remaining tract of lowland forest in Southeast Asia, dominated by the dipterocarp trees, some of the tallest tropical hardwood trees in the world, growing up to 50 meters in height. This unique habitat is home to one of the rarest birds in the world. It's early morning and a group of bird watchers are on a mission. They're in search of a bird that has near mythical status in Cambodia, the giant ibis. Once thought extinct, it's now known to survive in only this one tiny area of lowland forest in the Mekong basin. There are thought to be fewer than 200 of these birds left. They spot some movement in the distance. A nest. At first it appears empty, but it isn't. Two little chicks wake up and make an appearance. They are white-shouldered ibis, a close relation of the giant ibis. This species is also critically endangered, with only 500 left in the wild, 400 of which are in Cambodia. The two chicks are a few weeks old and trying to warm up after a cold night. They haven't got their adult feathers yet, but do have a distinctive white ring across their necks. Waiting for their parents to bring back breakfast, they preen their feathers. An important habit that they'll need to continue when preparing their adult feathers for flight. The bird watchers move on, continuing their search. The giant ibis shouldn't be difficult to spot, as it's one of the largest birds in Cambodia, standing at 1 meter tall and weighing 4.2 kilograms. And its call is easy to recognize. Success. Soaring above them, they spot their target, an adult female giant ibis. Cambodia's national animal is truly a wondrous sight to behold. It's one of the few remaining relics of the megafauna era, when giant animals roamed the earth around 12,000 years ago. This spectacular bird is a piece of living history. She circles above, looking for food and checking for danger. Two chicks occupy a nest below. At 3 weeks old, they're growing fast, already weighing 2 kilograms. This is a real find for the bird watchers. They can't yet fly, so must protect themselves while their parents are away. A large black crow entering their territory gives them a chance to practice their threat displays. Puffing themselves up to twice their normal size, they attempt to scare off the intruder. But backup isn't far away. Their mother flies in, sensing their distress. She doesn't stay long, leaving them again to their own devices. Life in the nest is anything but harmonious. The two brothers peck at each other. Brotherly quarrelling quickly descends into bullying as one clearly stronger chick gets the upper hand. This sort of behaviour is common when there's a small brood and limited food available. By the time their parents return with a meal, there's only one mouth begging to be fed. The weaker chick has been pecked into submission and stays still with his wings wrapped around him for defense. As the stronger chick feeds, he continues to attack his brother. brotherly love, this isn't. The mother ibis doesn't attempt to feed the weaker chick. Although it may seem like parental neglect, investing all of her energy into one strong chick may be a safer way for her to ensure reproductive success. Due to the giant ibis's size, a chick needs to eat significant amounts to get to its adult weight. Out of these two chicks, it's likely that only one of them will see maturity. This really is survival of the fittest. All is not lost, however. The weaker infant attempts to feed off his dad. He's in luck. The male ibis allows him a share of his meal. Learning to be assertive will be a vital lesson for the fledgling if he wants to stand a chance competing against his brother. Witnessing giant ibis behavior like this is a truly rare sight, and the bird watchers have been lucky. Tamat Bowie Forest is the last refuge for these impressive birds, which once existed all over Asia. The only reason this extremely rare creature has not become extinct is due to conservation efforts by Cambodians, who hope to ensure that their national bird continues to watch over future generations. As the dry season nears its end, the lowland forests of Tamat Bowie are visibly parched. The first early rains bring welcome relief from the scorching hot sun. Over 3/4 of Cambodia's annual rain will fall in the monsoon, which isn't due to start for another month. The trepangs begin to fill, both with water and fish, which hasn't gone unnoticed by these birds. As the short burst of rain floods the soil, insects and worms get flushed out, making for easy pickings. The rainy spells may be short-lived, but they trigger the emergence of frogs. They're able to absorb water and oxygen directly through their skin. But this permeability can also result in water loss. In the dry season, this can be a problem. One frog has a perfect solution. To stay cool and conserve water, it spends most of its life underground. The balloon frog, an extremely round frog that is found all over Southeast Asia. The seasonal rains are a trigger for it to emerge for breeding. Unfortunately, its camouflage seems to be working against him, as these ants can't tell the difference between the frog and the sand. It makes the most of their confusion by grabbing a snack on the go. The hind limbs are positioned like short spades, perfectly placed at the back for digging in reverse. It will remain in the sand until the next rain shower and won't properly emerge until the wet season is in full flow. Two weeks later, the bird watchers are back in Tamat Bowie to check in with the white-shouldered ibis chicks. They've lost their fluffy grey baby feathers and are now jet black. Larger in size, they've almost outgrown their home and are jostling for position. It's clearly cramped as they attempt to stretch out but are still not strong enough to actually fly away. Even going to the toilet needs to be strategic. They defecate outside the nest, not only for cleanliness, but also to ensure their home doesn't smell and give away their location to predators. Although they don't always hit the mark. The chicks only have a couple of weeks left in the nest, and the time is fast approaching when they can really spread their wings and fly. As the sun sets on the edge of the river, the eternal flow of this mighty force pushes it towards Vietnam. While every year the seasonal rhythms of the Mekong remain constant, the river has significantly changed its course over the last few thousand years. Since the Ice Age, it has moved almost 600 kilometers east. As it carves a new path, it exerts a major influence on the animals and plants that call Cambodia and the surrounding region home. It's a new day, and the hot sun is blazing down on Mondulkiri, a remote province in the east of Cambodia. These are the foothills of the Annamite Mountains, which drain into the Mekong River. A mosaic of forests covers 98% of the land, with every inch of the territory teeming with life. Covering 4,000 square kilometers, Mondulkiri province is one of the most isolated regions in Cambodia due to its rugged terrain. Its inaccessibility means much of its wildlife remains to be studied. And none more so than one of the most enigmatic primates in the world, the black-shanked duke. This endangered species, endemic to eastern Cambodia and southwest Vietnam, is rarely caught on camera. Yet Mondulkiri is full of them. An estimated 42,000 of these monkeys live here. It's morning, and this large troop is having breakfast. While the yellow-cheeked gibbons live in small family units, these monkeys have a far more collaborative parenting approach. A female moves away from her infant to continue feeding. And a younger female jumps at the chance to babysit. The mother carefully observes how the young babysitter is getting on. She's doing well. Until the dominant male launches himself onto the same branch, knocking her off balance. The little baby clings on for dear life as she struggles to climb back onto the branch. Help isn't far away as an older female from the troop rushes to the rescue. Happy her infant is in safe hands, the mother finally heads off to feed. Feeding for black-shanked dukes can be a full-time job. The leaves of these trees, which provide the bulk of their diet, are high in fibre and low in nutrients. So they need to feed for hours at a time. Once one patch is depleted, it's time to move on to the next tree. Black-shanked dukes are the long jumpers of the canopy. They travel in sequence along established routes, with a female usually taking the lead and the others following one by one, with a dominant male at the rear. The troop begins to line up on a branch, ready to spring across to the next tree. A baby tries to cling to his mother, but she bites him, letting him know he'll have to attempt this one on his own. Another female pushes her baby onto the branch too to test her long jump skills. The two youngsters call out for a ride, but their calls fall on deaf ears as the adults all leap across the gap without them. Such a large jump must be daunting for these tiny monkeys. But it's becoming clear they don't have much choice. With the two youngest infants still too timid to try the jump, the dominant male makes the leap to encourage them. The larger of the two musters up the courage to give it a go. He makes it and clambers his way up to his father. The smaller one really doesn't fancy her chances. She doesn't want to be left behind, but her courage fails her. Finally, the baby's cries are answered. An older monkey comes to the rescue. She's managed to hitch a ride this time, but will need to find the courage to attempt jumps like this if she doesn't want to get left behind. In these forests, taking risks is a crucial part of survival. As the Mekong continues its relentless journey to the sea, it finally emerges from the last of its hills and enters the wide open expanse of the floodplains. It leaves behind Cambodia's mosaic of forests in the north, where the young male gibbon will soon need to start a family of his own, and the lowland forests, the final refuge of the giant ibis. Throughout the dry season, the river has been a lifeline for the region. But change is coming. The summer monsoons are on their way. As the Mekong flows towards Cambodia's beating heart and the summer monsoons arrive, the swollen river delivers a seasonal bounty on an epic scale.